The power of solitude, when a man needs no one. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a man chose to live alone, not because he had to, but because he wanted to? Society tells us that happiness means having someone by your side. If a man is alone, people assume he must be lonely, lost, or lacking something. But what if they're wrong? What if solitude isn't suffering, but strength? What if silence isn't empty, but empowering? For centuries, great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus have taught that happiness doesn't come from others. It comes from within. From mastering our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own actions. A man who needs no one is not to be pitied. He is free. Free to think, free to act, free to become the strongest version of himself. So, is solitude really a disadvantage? Or is it the key to self-mastery, inner peace, and true freedom? If you're ready to uncover 7 truths about a man who walks his own path, stay tuned for this video. And if this philosophy speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe. Let's explore Stoicism together. Now tell me, when in your life have you felt your strongest, completely on your own? Truth number 1, he is a master of self-reliance. There's a raw, undeniable power in knowing that you don't need a safety net. No one to catch you if you fall, yet you still stand tall. Most men lean on something. A girlfriend to share the weight of their stress, a roommate to split the rent, a friend to help navigate the daily chaos of life. It's comfortable, it's easy. But a man who walks alone, he doesn't have that luxury. He wakes up in silence. He fights his battles alone. He faces everything, the good, the bad, and the brutal, without a hand to hold. No one cooks him dinner when exhaustion crushes his body. No one rubs his back when the day turns to hell. No one helps him when his car sputters and dies on the side of the road. But he doesn't complain, because complaining is a disease, a slow poison that weakens the soul. Instead of whining, he adapts. He sharpens his mind. He takes every hardship as a lesson, an opportunity to level up. Because when you're truly on your own, every decision is yours. Don't feel like cooking? Too bad. Your stomach will remind you until you light that stove. Laundry piling up? Grab some detergent. There's no one else coming to save you. Bills stacking higher. Figure it out, because no one else is carrying your weight. At first, it feels impossible. The weight of responsibility presses down, suffocating. You'll want to quit. You'll want an escape. But if you persist, something shifts. You learn how to fix that leaking pipe instead of calling for help. You manage your finances with precision because there's no one to bail you out. You stay calm while other men panic because you've been through worse. This isn't just survival, this is training. You become the man who doesn't flinch under pressure, the man who doesn't run when life turns ugly, a warrior who understands that self-reliance isn't a burden, it's an art. And once you master that art, nothing can shake you. As Seneca said, "The man who is good with the least is the richest of all." Not rich in money, rich in discipline, control, and self-mastery. Now ask yourself, how many men panic the moment they're left alone? They constantly check their phones, desperate for a reply. They scroll endlessly, drowning in distraction, terrified of the silence. The modern world has trained men to be weak, to be dependent. Swipe, scroll, click, anything to avoid facing themselves. But the man who stands alone, he finds gold where others see emptiness. He feels peace in his own presence. Because this isn't just about fixing things or paying bills, it's about something far greater. He is deeply connected to his own mind. He doesn't wait for help. He is the help. He's not just good with a wrench, he's bulletproof from the inside out. And he's learned one powerful truth. He doesn't need anyone to shine. He is the whole damn show. Truth number 2. He turns solitude into strength. Most people would rather run a mile in the pouring rain than sit alone with their own thoughts. To them, solitude is a black hole, a punishment to be avoided at all costs. The silence feels suffocating, the emptiness unbearable. So they distract themselves. They drown in endless scrolling, mindless chatter, and shallow relationships, anything to keep from facing themselves. But a clear-minded man, he doesn't just accept solitude, he draws power from it. He doesn't see silence as something to be filled with noise. He doesn't seek constant validation, forced conversations, or meaningless company. Instead, he sees solitude for what it truly is: an opportunity, a chance to dig deeper, to sharpen his mind, to strengthen his core. The Stoic philosophers, the ancient masters of wisdom, understood this well. They didn't fear solitude, they used it, turned it into a secret weapon for self-discovery, self-mastery, and unshakable clarity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You seek peace, look within yourself." And he was right. Most people can't handle 5 minutes of silence. Look around. Silence makes people anxious. The moment they're alone, they reach for distractions. They check their phones without thinking. They scroll through Instagram, binge Netflix, text non-stop. They fill every second with noise because the quiet scares them. They don't realize that by running from silence, they're running from themselves. But a man who owns himself, he doesn't run. He plants his flag in the silence. He uses it to gain control over his thoughts, train his emotions instead of being controlled by them, cut through the world's chaos until everything becomes crystal clear. Think of the warriors, the legends, the masters of history. They weren't afraid of being alone. They didn't need constant validation. They pushed themselves beyond their comfort zones. They faced their demons head-on, and that's why they became great. Because solitude isn't a crack in the armor. It's the forge where you sharpen your blade, and when you shut out the world's noise, something powerful happens. You start hearing yourself. You reevaluate your goals, your weaknesses, your true passions. You strip away distractions until only the truth remains. There's no one there to interfere, no one to sway your decisions, no one to cloud your judgment. A man who flies solo doesn't run from himself. He faces who he truly is and becomes stronger than ever. Solitude is not a prison, it's a training ground. The modern world tells you that solitude is a dark, scary pit, but that's a lie. It's not emptiness. It's not loneliness. It's the foundation of power, resilience, and mental strength. And once you truly understand yourself, no one can shake you, no opinion, no rejection, no loss, because you don't need anyone else to define you. You are whole, you are unbreakable, you are free. If this resonates with you, let me know. Have you ever felt the power of solitude? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Truth number 3, he controls his emotions and finds inner peace. There is something undeniably powerful about a man who refuses to be ruled by emotions. He doesn't panic. He doesn't break down. He doesn't explode over small things. While most people lose control the moment life turns against them, he stands firm. He has no one to vent to, no one to comfort him when things go wrong, no one to whisper, "It'll all be okay." At first, this might seem harsh. It might feel like isolation, like a burden too heavy to carry. But if you endure it, if you master it, you'll realize something. It's not a curse, it's a gift. Because when it's just you and your mind, you have no choice but to face the storm within. No running, no distractions, No hiding behind someone else. Just you and the choice to master yourself. And over time, this forges a mind as strong as steel. Stoicism. You control your emotions. They don't control you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Life will always throw punches. A job that falls apart. A friend who betrays you. Someone you love walking away. But you decide how you respond. Most men react. They let emotions drive them like wild horses. A man who understands himself? He remains calm in the storm. He doesn't need someone else to steady his ship. He has his own system for handling emotions. Maybe he writes in a journal, organizing the chaos in his head. Maybe he works out, burning off the negativity through sheer force of will. Maybe he just closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and regains control. He doesn't suppress his emotions. He masters them. He sorts them, studies them, and responds with clarity. And that makes him dangerous, because while the world is drowning in emotion, he is focused, sharp, untouchable. Most men let emotions destroy them. He turns them into fuel. Look at the world. How many men spiral after a breakup? How many punch walls or throw tantrums over a single insult? How many drown themselves in alcohol, drugs, or meaningless distractions because they never learned to control themselves? They never faced their own demons, so when hardship comes, they crumble. But the man who stands alone, he has walked through the fire. He has stared into the abyss. He has faced his worst thoughts and survived. That's why he doesn't flinch. That's why he doesn't break down. Because he has already met the darkness within himself, and he conquered it. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being unshakable. This isn't about turning into some cold, unfeeling robot. It's about understanding your emotions so they don't control you. Because emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, they pass. But if you let them pull you under, you drown. A man who masters himself is different. When chaos pounds on the door, he doesn't answer. When the world burns around him, he doesn't lose focus. When everything falls apart, he remains calm, collected, untouchable, because he's built a bunker in his mind. And inside, he is cold, he is focused, he is unbothered. That is true victory. If this resonates with you, share a moment when you stayed calm while everything around you was falling apart. Your story might inspire someone else to master their own mind. Truth number 4. He is a truly free man. Freedom. It's the word everyone loves to say, but almost no one actually has. Most men, they're trapped in bills that keep them chained to a job they despise, trapped in soul-draining relationships that demand more than they give, trapped in a cycle of debt, duty, and expectation, never truly living, only surviving. But the man who flies solo, he holds the golden ticket to freedom. No attachments, no baggage, no one pulling his strings, just pure, undiluted liberty. Most men are shackled. He has cut every chain. Think about how most men live. They split their paycheck, stretching it thin. They buy gifts and play a role just to keep someone else happy. They're dragged into other people's problems, forced to care about things that drain them. They bend over backward, compromising their dreams just to keep the peace. That's not freedom, that's a cage. But the man who walks alone, every decision is his. His paycheck, his to keep, his to grow. His path, chosen by him, not dictated by others. His mind, uncluttered, unburdened, untouchable. And that changes everything. Stoicism and true freedom. Epictetus once said, "True wealth is not having more, but needing less." This isn't just about money, it's about cutting off dead weight, financially, emotionally, mentally. A man who flies solo doesn't spend money trying to impress people who don't matter. He doesn't buy flashy things to feel important. He doesn't drown in debt to prove his worth. Instead, he saves, invests, and builds his own empire. And the best part, he is free to chase whatever he wants. Want to leave the city and start fresh somewhere new? Nothing's stopping him. Want to switch careers, take a risk, build something from scratch? No one's holding him back. Want to disappear for a while, travel, or completely reinvent himself? He doesn't need permission. No complaints, no restrictions, no chains. The kind of freedom most men only dream of. Most men are stuck in an endless loop, buried under credit card debt, working for a boss they despise, sacrificing their dreams to fit into someone else's plan. But the man who flies solo, he has escaped that cycle. He doesn't need anyone's approval for his choices. He doesn't need validation to feel worthy. That is true freedom. Financially, he is in full control. Every dollar he earns, his to command. Every decision he makes, his to own. Mentally, he is untouchable. No one can impose their expectations on him. No one can clutter his mind with their problems. He isn't just free to do what he wants. He is free to become whoever the hell he wants to be. And that is rare. He isn't just steering the boat. He is the damn ship. Think about it. How many men are living by someone else's rules? How many are afraid to rock the boat, afraid to lose their so-called security? But the man who flies solo, he has cut every rope. He has dropped every anchor. He isn't just steering the boat. He is the damn ship. This isn't about running from responsibility or rejecting love. This is about full ownership of his life. Because when you aren't tied down by anyone else's anchor, you can sail wherever the hell you want. That is real freedom, a power no one can take from you. If this fires you up, if you've ever tasted that kind of freedom, share your story. Tell me about the moment you cut the ropes and finally felt free. Because once you do, there's no going back. Truth number 5. He cultivates a deeper purpose. Most men just drift through life. They chase women, hoping a relationship will give them meaning. They scroll endlessly, numbing their minds with distractions. They chase money, thinking that's the finish line. But they rarely stop and ask themselves, why am I really here? What's the mission? What's the legacy? What's the thing that makes all the struggle worth it? Most men never ask, because they're too distracted to hear the answer. But the man who flies solo, he dives headfirst into that question. Solitude is the key to purpose. When you strip away the noise, when there are no plans dictated by a girlfriend, no group to blend into, no meaningless conversations filling the silence. All that's left is you, and a burning feeling that there's something more, something deeper, something worth fighting for. Most men run from this silence, but he doesn't. He embraces it, he sits in it, and he discovers who he really is. Stoicism and life's purpose. Epictetus once said, "Decide who you want to be, then work fiercely to become that person." That's not just advice, that's a blueprint for life. Decide who you want to become. Build your life around it, brick by brick. Work fiercely, cut the distractions, lock in, because this man, he isn't wandering aimlessly. He isn't getting pulled off course by whatever temporary high crosses his path. He isn't wasting time on people who add nothing to his mission. He knows what he wants, and he is willing to bleed and sweat for it. Maybe he's mastering his craft. building something great with his own two hands, devouring philosophy books, sharpening his mind, learning from history's greatest thinkers, spending late nights grinding, growing his own business, pushing past his limits. But what he isn't doing? Chasing meaningless drama, wasting time on people who don't matter, living for the next cheap dopamine hit. He is locked in, because his time is too valuable to waste. When you're alone, you discover who you really are. Most men blend in. They adapt to their friend group. They absorb other people's habits. They chase goals that aren't even their own, just because society told them to. And slowly, they lose themselves. But a man who embraces solitude, he is unfiltered. No compromises, no outside influence, just a blank canvas waiting for him to create something real. And that's when the magic happens. He looks inward and starts connecting the dots. What am I naturally good at? What is worth my sweat, blood, and time? What mission makes me feel alive? This man doesn't wait for someone to hand him a purpose. He creates it with his own two hands. History proves this truth. The great thinkers, the warriors, the builders of the world, they didn't find their purpose in the crowd. They disappeared. They spent hours alone, wrestling with the big questions. They sat with their thoughts. They listened. They refined. And then they emerged, driven by a mission so powerful it shook the world. The man who flies solo. He is cut from the same cloth. He doesn't drift through life. He doesn't let others steer his ship. He is the captain. And he sails with absolute purpose. The difference between a man with purpose and a man who runs from silence. Most men fear being alone, because when the noise stops, they might have to face the fact that they're wasting their life. They might have to admit that they're not living up to their potential. They might have to acknowledge that they have no real direction, so they distract themselves. More scrolling, more drinking, more shallow socializing, anything to avoid facing themselves. But the man with purpose, he rips all of that away. He stares directly into his core. He strips away the weakness. He refines himself until he is sharper, stronger, and more driven than ever. A man with fire inside him, nothing can stop him. Most men follow the path that's been laid out for them, but this man, he builds his own damn road. And once he locks onto his mission, nothing can stop him. He is a freight train, full speed ahead. He will make his mark or die trying. Now, ask yourself, what are you pursuing? What makes you feel truly alive? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear them. Because the moment you find your true purpose, everything changes. Truth number 6. He becomes stronger and more meaningful in relationships. The biggest shift in a man's life isn't about how many friends he has. It's about the quality of his relationships. Most men, they collect friendships like trophies. They build massive social circles, not out of genuine connection, but out of fear of being alone. They settle for shallow conversations, forced smiles, bonds that feel more like distractions than true connections. But a man who stands strong on his own, he doesn't play that game. He doesn't need a crowd to feel complete. He doesn't chase people just to fill space in his contact list. He doesn't seek validation from meaningless interactions, because solitude has taught him something most men never learn. His worth isn't measured by the number of people around him. It's built from within. Stoicism and the art of meaningful connections. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca once said, "Spend time with those who make you better, not those who just create noise." That's his golden rule. He isn't seeking attention. He isn't chasing popularity. He isn't collecting empty relationships just to feel important. Instead, he builds a circle that sharpens him, not dulls his edge. Whether it's a loyal friend who stands with him through thick and thin, a wise mentor who challenges his thinking, a woman worth pursuing, one who elevates him, not drains him. He chooses depth over noise, every single time. Most men fear silence. He finds power in it. Think about this. Most guys today are addicted to noise. They bounce from one meaningless text to the next. They crave likes, comments, and social approval. They chase attention, jumping from one temporary relationship to another, not because they're truly connecting, but because they're running from loneliness. The strong man, he's built differently. He doesn't need constant engagement to feel valuable. He doesn't desperately seek approval from strangers. He doesn't fill his time with empty interactions just to avoid sitting alone. Instead, he lets silence speak, because in that silence, he gains clarity. He filters out the weak from the strong. He learns who's truly adding value and who's just background noise. And the best part, that freedom makes him magnetic, because when a man isn't trying to impress anyone, people naturally gravitate toward him. They sense something rare. They see that he isn't here to take, he's here to exchange value. And that's why the right people are drawn to him like moths to a flame. He doesn't close himself off. He just doesn't settle. Let's be clear, he isn't closed off. If he finds a loyal friend, he stands by him like a brother, a wise mentor. He listens and learns. A woman who matches his frequency, he gives his all. But if it's just empty noise, he walks away without hesitation. Most men drown in half-hearted relationships. They cling to people they don't even respect, afraid to cut ties, afraid to stand alone. But not him. He has stripped away the unnecessary, kept only the valuable, and built a tight, unshakable circle. The secret of a strong man: he doesn't need 1,000,000 friends. He only needs the right ones. And that's what makes him a force to be reckoned with. If you have a tight circle like this, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to elevate your mindset. Now tell me, who in your life has helped you become a better man? Truth number 7. He becomes truly resilient, unshaken by the outside world. There's a kind of strength you can't buy, fake, or borrow. True resilience. A strong man stands tall even when the world around him is crumbling. He doesn't get caught up in petty drama. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He doesn't waste energy panicking over what he can't control, while most men are swept away by news headlines designed to manipulate them, trends that make them chase approval, social pressure that bends them into something they're not. The man who has spent time alone, he is different. He has forged a mind of steel. His will is unshakable. He doesn't need a comforting embrace when life gets tough. He has trained himself to face the storm alone, to take the hits without falling. He doesn't run from chaos. He confronts it like a warrior. Overwhelming workload? He handles it. Friends betray him. He doesn't sweat it. Life flips upside down. He stands firm like a fortress. No panic, no complaints, no excuses. Where others run, he marches forward. Where others break down, he levels up. Because this man isn't soft, he has trained himself to confront reality head-on. Stoicism, accepting reality without complaining. The Stoics called this the art of embracing reality without resistance, without self-pity. Seneca once said, "A wise man fights with whatever life gives him without complaint." That's the mindset. You don't cry over spilled beer. You wipe the table. You pour yourself another drink. The modern world, it's a circus of distractions. Phones buzzing non-stop. Sensationalized news feeding fear. drama pulling weak men into meaningless battles. But a strong man? He doesn't get swept up in the noise. He locks in, he cuts through the chaos, because he knows what truly matters. And that makes him a force that cannot be moved. Most men crumble, he stands firm. Most men fall apart when stress hits. They panic over breakups. They rage over failures. They fear missing out, desperate for approval. But not him. He has spent enough time alone to silence the noise, control his emotions, build an unshakable calm. He holds a rare power, a mind that doesn't waver, no matter what comes his way. This doesn't mean he's emotionless. It means he's unbreakable. He still feels pressure. He still experiences pain. But he has trained himself to stay at the wheel, no matter what. Rejection stings, but it doesn't break him. Hard days test him, but they don't derail him. Because he understands one fundamental truth: life is like the weather. Storms will come, waves will crash, but eventually the sky clears. And when it does, he's still standing. History proves this truth. The great thinkers, the real warriors, the men who shaped the world, they didn't crumble when life got ugly. They faced hardship, they chewed through challenges, and they became untouchable because they mastered their own game. The man who flies solo, he is cut from the same cloth. He isn't blown by the wind. He isn't a slave to circumstances. He is forged from steel, rooted like an oak tree in a storm. Most men are slaves to emotion. He has escaped the cycle. Most guys, they rise when life is easy, and they fall apart when they take a loss. They chase someone to fix their feelings. They break down the moment things don't go their way. But he has stepped out of that cycle. He doesn't need someone to make him feel whole. He doesn't panic over an uncertain future, because he has already faced himself. And here's the truth: he doesn't just survive chaos, he thrives in it. Cold as ice, like he's anchored deep. No storm can sink him. No wave can throw him off course. He has conquered his inner demons, so the outside world is just noise. He doesn't care about opinions. He doesn't flinch at failure, because he has already fought his toughest battle and won. And once you've tamed the beast inside, the noise outside, it's nothing but static. If this hit home, if you've ever felt unshakable in the face of chaos, drop a comment below, because once you become this man, there's no turning back. True strength isn't about never failing, it's about rising alone. Strength isn't about never falling, it's about standing back up without waiting for someone to lift you. When life strips away all support, when the world turns cold and the safety nets disappear, most people complain. Most people seek comfort, but not him. He sees it as an opportunity, a chance to train himself, to prove to himself, not to others, that he can carry his own weight. From the smallest tasks, taking care of his own needs, handling the daily grind, building self-discipline, to the biggest challenges, facing adversity head-on, standing unshaken when the pressure mounts. He sharpens his independence. He takes full control of his life. On his own terms, he doesn't fear solitude. He turns it into an advantage. While most people run from silence, drowning themselves in distractions, in noise, in meaningless entertainment, he faces it head-on. He sharpens his mind. He finds strength in stillness. He discovers that solitude isn't emptiness, it's power. Because mastering life isn't just about taking care of yourself, it's about mastering your emotions. The world will test him, the storms will come, but no matter how rough the winds, how heavy the rain, he remains calm, clear-headed, and in control. Because a man who has mastered himself, nothing can break him. He defines his own worth. Most people, they let society dictate their value. They chase validation. They live for approval. They mold themselves to fit expectations just to feel accepted. But not him. He doesn't need recognition. He doesn't beg for acceptance. He doesn't seek permission to be who he is, because his worth isn't given by others. It's built from within. He stays locked in, laser-focused on his own path, committed to his own mission. Because true freedom isn't just about being unchained. It's about being completely in control of yourself. And when a man is firm in his purpose, nothing can shake him. If this resonates with you, drop your thoughts below. What moment in your life made you realize your strength comes from within? What lessons did you take from this? Let's share this journey together. A man who walks alone is not lost in the dark. He is a force to be reckoned with. He is not weak. He is not lacking. Inside him burns a resilience, a freedom, and a fire that most people will never find. Because while the world clings to distractions, while most men seek approval, comfort, and an escape from themselves, he stands alone. And yet he is stronger than ever. We uncovered his secrets. He forges strength from solitude. He stands firm while the world is in chaos. He controls his emotions, his finances, and his path. He chooses real connections, not just noise. This isn't about running from love or avoiding life. This is about standing on your own 2 feet, without needing a crutch. And that changes everything. The Stoic masters would approve. The greatest minds in history, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, they all lived by these timeless principles. Master your mind. Cut out the unnecessary. Focus only on what is within your control. A man like this doesn't just exist. He leads. He commands his destiny. He is unshakable. And most importantly, he is truly free. Strength and relationships, the key difference. Let's get one thing straight. Relationships aren't the enemy, but the strongest men don't need anyone to feel complete. They choose their companions. They don't seek people to fill a void. That's the difference. When he enters a relationship, it's a bonus, not a lifeline. When he surrounds himself with others, it's by choice, not out of fear, because he is already whole. So, if you're a lone wolf, wondering if you're on the right path, remember this. Growing alone isn't weakness, it's a skill. You already have everything you need to build strength, peace, and an unbreakable will. Don't wait. Step up, own yourself, and watch how the whole game changes. When you need nothing from anyone, if this lit a fire inside you, you already know what to do. Now tell me, what's the biggest lesson you've learned on your journey? Drop it in the comments. Let's build something real. Hit the like and subscribe button on Stoic Station. Fuel the fire of resilience within you. Now tell me, what has been your greatest victory when standing alone? That one moment when you realized your own strength, when you no longer needed validation from anyone, when you stood firm, when you faced the storm, when you became unshakable. Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it, because this isn't just content. This is a movement. Thank you for being on this journey with me. We'll meet again in the next video. Until then, stay sharp, stay strong, stay unstoppable.